This is today's business leaders. Actionable advice from real-world professionals. And now here's your host, Gabe Arnold.
All right, on today's show, I have Dave Woodward from ClickFunnels, and we are going to talk about the One Funnel Away Challenge. We're going to talk about what that is, how it's working, and also actually dive into kind of the reasons, the strategy behind why challenges work and why they've chosen to do that. So thanks for being back on the show, Dave.
Oh, I'm super excited. This is a fun topic. It has literally been a game changer for us and for a lot of our clients and others who have been using challenges. It's super exciting things.
Awesome. So why don't we start out and just kind of share with me when you guys decided to do it. And I'm sure this isn't the only one you've done over the years, obviously at ClickFunnels and probably personally, but this one, it seems, has really stuck and blown up and is going super well. So why did you guys end up choosing to go that route? Like what can we learn as business owners from like the strategic standpoint?
Oh my gosh, there's so much. All right, so let me give you a little backstory here. So first of all, our first challenge that we did this last year actually was right on the back end of our 30days.com launch we did in September. And we actually tied that in as a front end to what we now refer to as our One Funnel Away Challenge. And since then, we did one in November. We've done one January, February. I guess we didn't do one in January. So February, March, we've got the April one coming up. And I think the next one's going to be in June. But the whole reason behind it, actually, we were in one of Russell's inner circle meetings, and Natasha Hazlitt, who has been a part of our inner circle for years. She's done a ton of different things, was an attorney and really worked with people kind of really trying to help grow their business, primarily working with a lot of female entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. And she was struggling on her webinars, trying to get the conversions to work and trying to find the right client is really what it came down to. So she decided to do a challenge. And so she got up during, I think last summer, and while she was up basically presenting during her inner circle presentation, she talked about this whole idea as far as a challenge. And the part that caught us the most was she went through all of her metrics and her numbers were just astronomical and crazy and all that's great. But the real cool thing for me is I take a look at a challenge. The best part about the challenge is the challenge actually is a way of creating your ideal customer. And that's the thing that just was the mind-blowing thing for me as I sat back and I looked at it, I was like, that's it. The whole purpose for a challenge is to really teach and train your ideal customer to stick with you and to continue on. For us, it's all about creating culture. And the biggest part about culture is you got to find the right fit for the employee or for the business and for the person who's basically wanting to participate. Again, challenges are things we've seen probably most people probably seen these in the fitness industry. Yeah. A ton of body transformation challenges. I mean, Biggest Loser was a huge TV show all about this whole idea as far as a challenge. And each week there was a challenge and there was competitions. We saw the same thing as far as challenges on The Apprentice. And so there was a lot of TV shows that have taken that same model as far as doing different type of challenges to then have one winner. What we've seen is the whole idea for us has been to have a challenge to bring as many people in the front to really taste it's the best way of having them kind of dip their foot in, but not just their foot, literally it's a complete immersion where they really have the opportunity to just dive in and going, I want to test this and see, is this where I want to put my flag and say, you know what, I'm here. I want to make this work. And for us, that's been the biggest game changer. More than happy to kind of go into details of it, but that's what we see is the biggest benefit for any business on why you should do a challenge.
No, that's super interesting. That's super helpful because one thing that stood out to me, another side of it was like, I think it brings some urgency and scarcity to it, like in reality, because I know you guys, you get in and you got to do it, and then you actually have to engage, and that was the angle I was looking at. But yeah, you're completely right. The other side is you actually get to kind of groom your best customer, who the ones that go through it do well, then move on to being more engaged or doing more. And I mean, that's obvious there, but I guess I never really thought about it from that side. So that's a good point.
Yeah. No, it's been a lot of fun for us.
Yeah. And no, I've seen, seen some great stuff inside of it. It's had a lot of friends and a lot of people go through it, and it's been really successful. And the other thing that I think is worth pointing out that's interesting is you said, somebody in your guys' in the inner circle, had this problem and kind of came up with the idea, and that's how you guys, it came out of that and was born from there. I think there's a lot to be said for like really listening to our customers and those that are involved with us and figuring out how to solve their problems, because there's huge opportunities when we go, oh, if I just solve that problem, there's a lot more there.
Totally get that. Totally get that.
Yeah, it's
I can tell
definitely.
you for me, the main thing I look at is finding stuff that works in one industry and porting that over to your own.
Yeah. No, that's definitely wise, because that's how I launched one of my biggest products. Is I saw somebody doing something in web dev and design, and I'm like, I think I can do this in content creation, and it's
Yeah.
that's definitely key. Um, so as people are kind of interested about the process and how it works, what's it like if they haven't heard about it for some reason? I mean, it's all over the internet right now, obviously, but if for some reason somebody hasn't heard about it, how does it work? What process do you guys take them through? What can they expect when they go through the process with you guys in the One Funnel Away Challenge?
Yeah, more than happy to explain that. So the idea behind the One Funnel Away Challenge is literally within 30 days, a focused effort to be able to get your first funnel up and running. That's the context behind it. So you're one funnel away from getting started and getting things going. We we toy around with the idea, ideally if you can make $1,000 in the first 30 days is awesome. Really, I look at it as the win for me is any customer who goes through there and actually gets a funnel up. I don't care if it makes money. I just want to make sure they have something up and running. If I take a look at kind of where we were as a company back in September, October, we grew up to 60,000 customers within our first 3.5 years pretty fast. And then it started to kind of plateau. And the biggest thing we saw really was it took us almost 7-8 months to get to 70,000. But what happened then was we went from 70,000, we're at 82,000. So 12,000 customers in 3 months, all because of this One Funnel Away Challenge. And the reason for that is when a person starts the One Funnel Away Challenge, they get the global view from Russell. This is what this whole concept is all about. And then from there, Julie Stoyan comes in and basically says, all right, let's take Russell's idea and let's break this down from this global idea down to more, at least not even a 10,000, like a 3,000-4,000 foot level. So you can say, okay, these are things I need to do. And the key here has been on a daily basis. We have Steve Larson who gets in and spends the time going through and just making sure people are accountable every single day. And for us, the daily accountability with themselves, with their peers, with the people who are in the Facebook group with them, that's where the greatest results come from, because they have the opportunity of saying, you know what, this really does work. The key and really behind a lot of the situation we run up against with a challenge is anytime in any business and the stuff that you're looking at, the biggest problem people have is their own false beliefs. It's the space between their ears that creates the biggest problem for most of us. And I've seen the same thing happen for anybody on our in this challenge. That's probably the hurdle I think that most people have had to overcome. So we actually take the first week and really just talk about beliefs, false beliefs. How do you break these beliefs? How do you actually make things happen? Because the hard part is you get excited about this challenge and then you hear all the naysayers. Same thing happens if you were to do a fitness challenge, very first thing you start talking to people, you're going to do this fitness challenge. They're going to go, listen, you've been fat for this long, you're not going to be able to lose weight. You've tried this before, it never works. How do you know this is going to work? And so you start getting all this negative stuff coming at you. So the very first week is really, how do you overcome that? How do you deal with what's the naysayers in your life, but more importantly, the stuff that is in your own head? And that foundational week has been just a massive, massive game changer for our clients who are going, okay, now I see I actually can do this. Let me actually now take action. So then we go into the next 4 weeks of actually taking action. And these are not huge things that they have to do. It's literally every single day. It's little tiny things. And it's those little tiny things that when you do them day after day after day, they stack up. I think the hardest part for a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs and things is you get this idea and you go all in at one time and you go in at it's like saying, listen, I'm going to get in shape and I'm going to get in shape in the next 24 hours. If I go to the gym for 24 hours, it's not going to work. All I'm going to be is sore, miserable. I'm going to hate my life. And for the next 2 weeks, I'm just going to be upset. Versus if I just take it, one day at a time, I'm doing 30 minutes here, I'm doing 30 minutes there. At the end of that month, you're like, my gosh, I may not be where I want, but I'm miles ahead of where I was. And that's really what we take a look at is you don't have to make $1 million in a month. That's unrealistic. That's never, ever going to happen. But what we really want to do is we want to make sure that person start taking action, where they start seeing success, where they go, you know what? I got my funnel up. It's just an opt-in page right now, but at least I got 2 leads. That is a huge, huge win. I'm like, oh my gosh, to actually get leads, these are people who've raised their hand and said, yes, I'm interested in what you have. And then maybe from that, you go and you get your first sale. And I remember, I don't know for you, Gabe, if you remember your very first sale online, I remember like it was yesterday. It was the biggest mind-blowing experience in my life. I thought I'd sent out an email and someone sent me money. I'm like, I cannot even believe that. It was like, this actually works. And just tasting that, it's, we joke around a lot as far as a lot of people get introduced to this entrepreneurship just through network marketing. It kind of seems to be the gateway drug to having your own business.
Yeah, no
but
kidding.
The same thing as far as funnels is once you taste that first thing where you get some response. And I think the first response actually for me was, I remember the first time I had my first funnel up and I showed it to a friend and they saw it and they're like, you did that? And I was like, yeah, that's me. I did that. And I think those are the types of wins. And so I think at times we talk so much about a 2 comma club and $1 million. I'm like, that is awesome. And yes, I love all 500 plus the people who have done that. But what matters most to me is the 80,000 people who are customers who are out there every single day, just chugging and plugging and making things happen. And that to me is what matters. And those are the big wins that I see as at the level I'm looking at is down with all of our customers is these are the people who are making changes in their own life. And that change in their life, you got to change your own life before you can change someone else's. And the best way to start is with the 1 funnel away challenge.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And there's a ton there that you talked about. And I remember like 4 or 5 years ago, before ClickFunnels was released, I bought this $300 thing from Russell with like all the money I could scrape together. And a week later, I applied what he said and I made my first $10,000 sale. And I was like,
my gosh.
Oh my God. I'm like, this stuff works. And then I remember a couple of years later meeting Brandon Pullen at Funnel Hacking. And he's like, dude, I just read the book and I did it. And now we look at that guy and $40-50 million a year, later in 4 years or whatever it's been. And I think what you said early in your comment there is so key because all of our false beliefs are the only thing that keep us from, being successful. And if you just take and you follow success, you actually just follow what other people have done and take it step by step, you can have massive success, but it is always, in our own head.
Yeah.
And it might've been Brandon the other day. I was listening to one of his podcasts. I think it was him that said, all business problems are just personal problems. And it's the same kind of thing where we get stuck in our own head and then we don't do anything. And it's easier because we're more used to it. It's easier just to be negative or be a naysayer or say it could never work than it is to try. But if you actually try this stuff and follow through, it works. It works. Like
I totally agree. Totally agree.
Yeah. And the other thing that I think that you point out that's really key too for those that are using ClickFunnels or, are launching products or doing things is creating this process that you guys have had. It's another example of how to model success because you're not just throwing a course out there and people just have to go through it on their own. You're making it relational. You're making it the daily check-ins and you're really focusing on getting people to engage and consume the resources and use the tools and things like that. And I remember when I launched my first SaaS business, I was thinking, oh, well, I just want people to use it, but not overuse it because I'll make more money. It was like totally backwards thinking.
You're like the gym owner. It's like, I want to sell a whole bunch of memberships. I just hope no one actually comes into the gym.
Exactly. Like it's like exactly that model. And it's like, that's completely the wrong thinking because then you're not actually serving people. They're not actually getting value and they're not going to keep coming back. So having the relationship part, having the accountability, and then really creating a process for them to incrementally engage. I mean, just right there, there's a ton of value, a ton of secrets to making all this stuff work. And so when they get in, it's actually the live interaction in the group, obviously, and they're actually getting coached and helped one-on-one, and they're not alone having to figure out what is a super simple, easy to use platform. But, it's daunting if you've never used something.
It's been funny. I've seen quite a few people who say, I've been donating to ClickFunnels for over a year now, meaning I've been paying $297 a month, never built a funnel. I went to the 1 Funnel Away challenge and it all makes sense.
Yeah.
Or people who've had an account and put on pause, whatever. It's just neat for me to see people who actually, the 1 Funnel Away challenge has been a game changer. Yes, for us as a business, but most importantly for our clients. And that's what matters most.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, been super helpful. And like I said, I just want to pop on and share and talk about this. But one last question before we let you run. what other things do you see coming down the pipe for ClickFunnels? What's next? What are you guys digging into? Obviously, this is a big focus now, but like cast a vision of where you think you're going.
We've got, we're excited about, actually we just rolled out network marketing secrets yesterday. For those people who are involved in network marketing, it seems to be, we get hit up all the time saying, gosh, you know what, do funnels work for network marketers? I'm like, yeah, they totally do. So we just rolled that out. We're actually looking at a couple of other types of products like that. We'll be rolling out possibly an e-com secrets, some other types of products that way. Our primary focus right now really is on Actionetics MD, multidimensional marketing, and really trying to make sure that people understand for every dollar that comes in the front end, there's typically 17 on the back end. But the only way you get those 17 is through consistent follow-up. And to make sure that that happens is why we created Actionetics MD. So they get multi-dimensional follow-up, meaning it doesn't just come through email. It comes through Facebook Messenger. It comes through desktop push notifications. It comes through text. It comes through a whole bunch of different places. And the key to that is to really understand where's your audience at? How do they want to be communicated with? Some people prefer email. Others prefer text. Some people prefer Facebook. Others want something to pop up on their desktop. And so you got to find that out. And the only way you can find that is by testing, seeing who opens. And the nice thing about it is software measures and tracks all that kind of stuff for you.
Very cool. Awesome. Well, I super appreciate the time today, Dave, and and catching up on everything, and we'll definitely have you back again soon. So I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, Dave. See you.
Awesome.
You've been listening to Today's Business Leaders with Gabe Arnold. Remember to subscribe on iTunes. For more information, visit todaysbusinessleaders.com.